Good morning, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, man accused of forcing teen to withdraw cash from ATM. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9.
Back in the day, Bell-Tates knew that if we provided quality products and honest service, customers would come back again and again. Have things changed? Sure. But what hasn't is Bell-Tates' commitment to giving you a fair price and friendly service. Visit us at belltates.com.
33-year-old Richard Blaze faces 2 counts of armed robbery after an incident that police say unfolded early this morning at this Manchester 7-Eleven. Jason Covey was working third shift behind the counter at the time.
Basically, the guy came in and he flashed me his gun and he tried to get me to give him cigarettes. And I wouldn't give it to him, obviously. Then he asked me if I was going to make him go through all the motions of actually pulling the gun out and trying to rob me. So I said, yeah. And then he decided better of it and he left.
That's when police say Blaze went into the parking lot and confronted an 18-year-old woman.
He basically pulled out his gun, he threatened to kill her, scared her enough that she walked into the store, withdrew money from her ATM account, gave an undisclosed amount of cash, and he fled in a dark-colored SUV.
So she was freaking out. I locked the doors, got her safely inside, and then I called the cops.
Police were able to get surveillance pictures from the store. Then, about an hour after the robbery, say they got an anonymous 911 hang-up call from the area of 435 Hanover Street.
A gentleman ended up coming out of an apartment, spoke to the officers. The original officers that went to the robbery call had a still photo which matched up with the subject that was speaking to the officers from the 911 hang-up call, and he was ultimately placed into custody and charged with 2 counts of robbery.
Blaze waived his arraignment and is being held on $100,000 bail. Reporting live, I'm Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Police asking for witnesses to reported sexual assault near Charles River. Police are asking for the public's help as they investigated a reported sexual assault Thursday afternoon on Green Row Boulevard in Watertown. According to Massachusetts State Police, a woman in her 20s reported that she was indecently assaulted by a man at approximately 2:40 p.m. while she was walking along the road that parallels the Charles River. The victim told police that the man rushed up to her from behind, grabbed her, and began to forcibly kiss her. The victim said the unidentified man continued to forcibly kiss her even as she told him to stop, tried to push him away, and tried to break free. According to police, at one point during the assault, the man indecently touched the victim. Investigators said the victim continually shouted no and stop during the indecent assault. State police said the victim attempted to get the attention of passing cars during the attack, but no drivers stopped. Police said the victim eventually was able to break away and ran across the street toward Grove Street. The suspect is described by police as a Hispanic male who approached to be in his early 30s, approximately 5'4", tall, with dark hair, wearing navy blue hat, gray t-shirt, and jeans. Police believe that just before the attack, the man was hanging around the dock on the river west of the playground at Artini's Park. Investigators said at the time the suspect was with an older Hispanic male who appeared to be in his late 50s or early 60s with a black and gray hair and facial hair, wearing a red shirt and holding a multicolored hat. Police said both the suspect and the older man were drinking beers out of large cans. Anyone who witnessed the assault or saw the victim, the suspect, or the older man is urged to call Massachusetts State Police, Barrington Barracks at 617-727-4812. He was my world. Corporal Cole's wife speaks about husband's death. Community Support Public Memorial. Let's take a listen to the video from WMTW News 8 Maine.
I'm Stan from Frank 107.5.
And I'm Holly, and there's over $100,000 in this vault with your name on it.
Listen weekday mornings for your chance to win cash with Frank's $1,000 minute.
The Bank of Frank is open.
Frank 107.5.
Cheryl and I have been talking for about a week now, and above everything else, she has told me she just wants to thank everybody for their support over the past 2 weeks. Cheryl didn't want to go in front of a camera, but she answered some questions I asked her about Jean. If I had one more minute with him, I would hold him, tell him how much I loved him, and make sure he knew he was my world, Cheryl tells me. I will remain married to that man until we meet again and beyond. Cheryl says she and Jean had talked about death. Jean told me he wanted to be cremated, she says, and I told him yes, I agreed, because I was going to keep him on the bookcase in the living room. His response, "You're not going to give me any peace even after I'm gone, are you?" I replied, "Nope, the till death do us part, that thing we both said, that's not getting you out of anything."
But Cheryl, you were the apple of his eye. The woman that he fell in love with and loved so much.
Jean worked every day to make Somerset County and Norwich Walk a safer place to live.
As for the ceremony thousands attended Monday, Cheryl says she's talked to Jean about it already. I said to him, I told you I was going to go all out for this, she tells me. I told you you were going to have the biggest and best send-off the state had ever seen. You see, in his line of work, she says, it was never promised that he would be coming home at the end of every shift. And we talked a lot about it. They talked a lot over those 41 years together, but Cheryl says she wishes Jean knew how much his community loved him. Unfortunately, as with most things, you don't know what you have until it's gone, she says. But Jean knew all the people knew him. Jean knew he was making a difference. Cheryl says Jean's ashes are now with her, but she hopes to put up a headstone somewhere for she, her family, and everyone else to have a place to reflect. Your support and caring truly helped us through this horrendous time, she tells me, and it is greatly and deeply appreciated. Cheryl is a substitute teacher, and she tells me she hopes to get back to work this fall. Meantime, there's a fundraising page set up to help cover the funeral costs. The goal is $20,000, and we have a link inside our app and right on WMTW.com. I'm David Charnes, WMTW News 8.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. JP Morgan revamps its stock trading business in a sign of the changes sweeping through Wall Street. JP Morgan Chase, the world's biggest investment bank by revenue, has created a new management team to help it better serve Wall Street clients who increasingly want to trade with holograms through electronic platforms. Trump briefs DHS Secretary Jen Nelson over border security. Let's take a listen to the video from ABC News.
Fios, 100% fiber optic network. That means more speed for more devices at once. Up to 100 if you got them. And to prove it, we'll help you add another. Choose a free Samsung Chromebook 3 or a $200 credit towards other Samsung tech. Plus the fastest internet available. Plus up to 200 TV channels. Plus phone. Plus a 2-year price guarantee. All for just $79.99 per month with a 2-year agreement. Go to getfios.com to switch today.
Senator Dick Durbin there on the floor wrapping up his remarks as they debate here in a kind of free-for-all session about how to reach some sort of bill they can get 60 votes on when it comes to immigration. Keep sending us your questions. We're going to dig into some of them right now. Actually, it reminds me of Senator Dick Durbin mentioned something about criminal convictions and criminal behavior. There was a question earlier today I didn't get to from a woman named Patricia. Sorry about that. We're going to get back to it now. But you asked if they have a criminal record, do they get amnesty? I think you were asking about DACA recipients specifically because that was the conversation at the time. I went out to the USCIS page, that's the Citizenship and Immigration Services, the government bureau's website, just to look it up. And basically under criminal convictions they say if you have a conviction for a felony offense, a significant misdemeanor, or multiple misdemeanors, you would not have been eligible to receive DACA protection. So there were a lot of rules going into who they considered eligible and not. This was one of them. So hopefully that does answer your question. There were a few others. Let's dig into those now. Anthony Rodriguez asked, DACA members complied to the government's request. Now they're worse off than those who had never complied. True or false? That is a tough one. Let's break down the first part of it. You're saying they complied to the government's request. Obviously, to get DACA status, to get protection under that program, you had to submit a lot of information. You had to give your full name, any identification, and identificating information. You had to hand over family data, too. You had to talk about who else was here with you, their addresses and contacts. So basically, the government now has a giant database for about 800,000 people who at one point were here illegally. And that, for a lot of folks, is very worrying because now that the program is set to be ending, what happens to all that information? That's certainly a valid concern for easily hundreds of thousands of people, if not more, out there. Whether or not that makes people worse off, I don't know. I guess it depends on what Congress ends up doing. Is there some kind of path offered for the folks